Hello and welcome again to Parent Solution. And today again we have here with us Dr. Carrie Contey. Carrie is going to tell us about technology, most heated topic of this era. All the parents are scared, including me, about the technology, where it is going to lead our children and where it is going to lead us. Are we going to make it, or we are just going to crash with this? So welcome, Carrie. Welcome again in our show, and please tell us more about this.
Such a big topic, right?
Yes, it is.
It's really up for people. And, I always like to start a talk like this with the reminder that there's never been a time in human history where there hasn't been something that's in the world that parents are really afraid are going to be the downfall of their children or of society. And I think, with screens and all the things that we have at our disposal, these incredible tools that we get a lot from, I think that when we can just start by saying, of course, there's things that are going to make you anxious as a parent. And I understand why technology is, because it pulls them in so deeply. But I just want to give parents a little more permission to slow it all down, because I say this all the time. There's no right way to do anything in family life, that you have to figure it out for you and your people. And there's no big prescription. There's things you can learn, and there's people that have ideas that you can go toward. But until you learn how to really go inward and hear yourself and create some boundaries, I like to say clarity is influential. That as a parent, learning how to really understand what's going on in your brain, understand what's going on in your heart, and then listen to your gut, that deeper inner knowing, that's becoming more necessary. Like, I think this idea of technology and how do you set boundaries and when is it okay to give your kids a phone and all the stuff that's up with this, to me, it's giving us this incredible opportunity, parents especially, to really listen to themselves. Because you can't just say, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, because you and your children and really being so first and foremost, I think just slowing it all down, and really, like, when you get anxious and go, we shouldn't be on the screen so much, but it's so easy and I need the break, like all that's going on in there. So just slow it down and notice, like, oh, look at me thinking that way, or look at me thinking that way. So that's first. And then getting curious, like really getting curious and noticing, like, when are they using it and what are they using it for? And, maybe there's ways that they're getting so much more information about themselves and they're connecting with friends that you really appreciate, or they're creating stuff. I like this. I have some clients that make the distinction. Are you creating or are you consuming? And so they're all in for their kids using technology to create, which means like doing art or learning some programming or things that, they value. So first you have to really understand, what do we value as humans? What is our life about? Then so that family said, are we creating or are we consuming? And when they're just consuming, when they're just watching other people create and taking that in, they're like, no, that doesn't work for us. So they're going to be very boundaried about that. So they value creating. Other people value health. If you value connection in real life, that's something that you want to be clear with your kids about. Or if you value feeling like sleep is a really big value in your family, because that's under the umbrella of health, then you give them a clear value-based guideline around, this is how we're going to do it. This is how, and this is why. Because if we just say, get off the screens, it's not good for you, that doesn't give anybody any information. But when you say, hey, everybody, we've been letting you watch screens a lot, and I'm realizing it's making me feel like I'm not doing my job as a parent. And because I value our health and our well-being and our connected time, we're going to put them away at 5 and have some time where it's just us. So again, it might be a courageous act, because you might have people going, I don't want to do that, or that doesn't work for me, or I'm not really, my friends get to do it whenever they want. Why do we do it differently? And it's like, on a certain level, if you've taken the time to really get clear so that you're hearing a deeper understanding of, like, well, this is what we're going for as humans. This is what I want to at least model for you. First, it starts with you. And I say this on my podcast. I did a whole, I think it's 4 episodes around technology on my Not Parenting podcast. So I can't say everything here, but go there, because I think you'll hear some ideas that might give you a bigger perspective and more insight into, well, how do we pull how do we get in the driver's seat of something that can feel so out of control at times? And I've been doing courses. I have an online course around technology. And the truth is, the minute you just start considering, the minute you start noticing what you're doing, maybe unconsciously, and then you consider how you think you would like to be doing it differently based on what you really value, what matters to you, you can make shifts, or you realize, actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And so I really like this broader perspective that I offer, which is it's a tool. There's great things we get from it. And as a parent, you are the one that has to make some decisions and set some clear boundaries for how you want to allow your kids to interact with it.
So I want to say what I hear you saying is, rather snatching the whole thing away from them, structuring a good limits and boundaries for them and handling those things in a more productive way. That's what you're saying. And as you talk about connection and boundaries, we cannot just be anxious, right? About technology and anything else on earth. We have to use our connection and voice and limits and boundaries, because we are the one who's going to provide them. And we are the one who's going to put limits and boundaries to make those providings more effective for them. So that's really huge and valuable. Can you just share quick tips for our parents? Is there any tips where we can apply with technology with our children, with us as well?
What should we do? It starts with you. So before you do anything with your kids, look at your own habits. And I mean, you can't be on your phone scrolling all the time and not available for them and then say, hey, get off your thing. Like, that's not fair. So I would say, don't even think about your kids for a minute and just consider for next day or week, how am I doing it unconsciously? How am I using this? What do I need it for? What's valuable? What's not? What is wasting time? What is, adding to my well-being? Like, what am I going for as a human? What do I want to model for them? Okay, let me start doing that first. And you can talk about it. Hey, I heard this woman online, I listened to her podcast, and she said, as the parent, I need to get more clear on what I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell you what I'm learning. Great. Then get curious and ask them, like, what do you love about it? It might be different than you think. It might be, oh, I just like being able to connect with my friends. It's really fun. Or I really like watching creative things. But like, do it with love and compassion, not with judgment. Because it's like, we can judge, we can accept, we can celebrate. Like, it's all available. And it's like, they're going to feel it. So if you come at them curious with judgment, they're not going to want to tell you much, because they're sensing, well, you're not really getting this, because you're not really hearing me. You have an agenda and you have an idea of what this is, but so if you just come with openness and say, no, I'm genuinely curious, like, tell me your experience with devices. Tell me your experience with this game you love to play, and actively, open-heartedly be there. That is going to create something very different than when you think, oh, this is out of control, I just need to control it. And then all of a sudden you're in a power struggle. So first, you, with being curious about yourself and really wondering about how I'm using this and does it line up with what I really value as a human, and then bring some openness and curiosity to them and see if you can open it up and have some interesting conversations. Be a blank slate, really allow for who they are to emerge a little differently when you have these conversations.
Yes, technology is already here. It's we who's going to choose whether we are going to create power struggles out of it or connection out of it. So thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, let me add one more thing.
Yes, for sure.
I'm gonna say one more thing, which is, again, put yourself in their shoes. If you had something while you were growing up that you really enjoyed and you really loved and you really wanted to do a lot, and your parents were judging that, would you want to stop doing that? Probably not. So really, again, put yourself in their shoes and remember when you were their age, what would you have wanted? What would you hope that they would want to share with you? And then decide what's going to get me there. And that requires, as again, I say all the time, slowing down, pausing, making a little space, collecting yourself, getting a little clarity. The thing I love is when you can get clarity, and I use that word a lot because that's my thing. I have a whole world built around helping people learn how to get clear from within. And so join me, go over to my website. I have all sorts of great stuff available. But the point is, when you're clear in yourself without holding it tightly, when you open the conversation and all right, well, I am going to set boundaries, but I don't have to be anxious about it because I know where I am, and me modeling that level of alignment in myself for those people, that is very impactful. Like a confident, clear, calm, open parent is going to bring forth more from their people than somebody who's judging and fearful and not really present to the interaction that's being had.
Absolutely. I understand. And here we are to support our children, and this applies with everything, not only with technology. But thank you for sharing everything with us. And I want all my viewers to go and listen to Carrie's latest podcast on technology, and it is magical. Just go and reach out to her and know more about her work and use her resources. It's for you all. She's working towards it, and I know that it's going to benefit you all. Thank you, Carrie, for being here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Filza. It's a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.